I want a closet that looks like this so that I can leave the house every single day looking like this. The only issue with that is that I don't quite have $1 million yet, but that is not going to stop me from living my truth. I found that I was spending so much time looking online for clothes, I figured maybe it's just gonna be faster, easier, and cheaper to make all those clothes myself. I don't know if that's the case, but we're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna be attempting to create my dream closet from scratch. I'm taking you guys along with me for the experiment. I'm Daria, welcome to my channel, and welcome to episode 1 of the Dream Closet Creation series. Okay, so there's a few ways that you can start to design your clothes. A book like this is really great. This is called New Fashion Figure Templates, and it's just got all sorts of different forms in it. They also give you some tips on like how to draw the fabric, different proportions. There's a lot of different poses. You can really pick your favorite form that speaks to what you're trying to design. You can put just a regular sheet of printer paper over it to trace the form and then draw your clothes on top of that. Traditional is a really good way of drawing clothes. You're a little bit more limited, and I find it's better for creativity. If you're trying to come up with new ideas for clothes, I find it's better to do traditional. There's just something about putting pencil or pen to paper that lets your imagination work extra hard. If you also want to experiment with like glitter or shine and you don't necessarily want to draw that out, you can also use actual glitter pens or metallic paints. That can help you really visualize what you're trying to make. Drawing digitally is another great option because it's obviously much easier to redraw and erase things, and you have every single color you could possibly want, along with different brush presets that make it easier to add texture. Now, I figured it would be really easy to find a picture of one of these fashion templates online that I could just use to overlay on my digital drawing, but it actually was a lot harder than I thought to find one I liked, and I had a difficult time finding a good form, which really surprised me. So I definitely don't think a book like this is necessary to have if you want to design clothes, but I do think it is quite useful. Digital is really great, I think, if you are refining an idea you already had. The problem with digital art is that you have so many possibilities that it makes it very easy to get into this loop of erasing and redrawing, erasing and redrawing. I find it very difficult to see an idea through when I'm drawing digitally versus when I'm drawing traditionally. If I start drawing something, I will finish it, and then if I don't like it, I can give it another go. Something that can really bring your designs to the next level if you are making clothes for yourself is paying attention to your own specific proportions and color schemes. I was actually watching RuPaul's masterclass, and he and his stylist were talking about the process of making clothes. Proportions kind of come into play in creating a look that you want. So this is like a really basic crash course on that. If your goal is to emulate the look of a supermodel or a mannequin, there are specific proportions that you want to try to fit into. So RuPaul has extremely long legs and a shorter torso. A lot of the dresses she wears are mermaid or trumpet because they draw her legs down and they accentuate the actual shape of her legs, which are already naturally long. In comparison, a dress that poofs out really far like this in the waist does a really great job of making her waist seem very tiny, but it hides the actual shape of her legs and it makes her torso seem even shorter than it already is. So you'll also notice that a lot of the dresses she wears are very low cut. This draws your eye to her chest and it brings more visual weight to the top of her figure, which then makes her torso seem longer because her torso is quite naturally short. When she wears clothes with a higher neckline, your eye is less drawn to the top of her body, so it shrinks her torso even more and also makes her head seem proportionally small in comparison. This is another reason why you see her wearing really big wigs all the time, because you're drawing the eye to the top to balance out the very, very long legs at the bottom. Now, I happen to have the opposite problem. I want my legs to look a little bit longer and I want my torso to look a little bit shorter. So this is what I'm gonna do. Low-waisted pants make my legs look even shorter because they're drawing your attention down. My legs visually start much lower to the ground. In the same vein, the higher up my shorts end, the longer my legs look. So by raising the bottom of my shorts and the top of my shorts, I can visually change the proportions of my body. The more we raise the neckline, the shorter the torso is going to look. If I have a really low neckline, it brings the eye down and it makes the top of my body seem a little bit bigger. If I raise the neckline up, there's less visual weight at the top of my body, so my legs look longer because my torso looks shorter. If you want to take this one step further, I highly recommend looking into your color season. You don't need to get it professionally done. Do a little bit of research. This is often the reason why some clothes just don't look good on you and you can't figure out why. A lot of the times it's just the color around your face. I think it's important not to get too religious with the colors you wear. I'm a little bit guilty of this, but if you restrict yourself too much, your creativity is going to be a little stifled and you got to go for the clothes that you want to wear. But if your goal is to wear clothes that are very flattering to you, then I would definitely recommend doing that. The best method to design your own clothes is a little bit of everything. You want to kind of rotate through all these things. Traditional can be a little bit limiting, digital can be a little bit overwhelming, using a fashion form can be a little bit unrealistic, using your own body can be a little bit frustrating. So I recommend bouncing around. This way you're not going to kind of get burnt out and you're going to keep that momentum and that creativity going. So now let's get designing. Designing starts out very exciting and relaxing, but then quickly becomes daunting when you actually try to get a finished product. Brainstorming and designing kind of reminds me of like a good French onion soup or caramelized onions or something where you just have to cook it for a really long time, because it can really test your patience to take it super low and slow. But if you can manage that persistence to put all of your kind of difficult ingredients in a pot and then really just have the patience to let them simmer and boil down, you end up with a tiny fraction of what you originally started with, but it's such a concentrated end product, something a lot more special because you took that time. Some of my designs were based on fabric I'd seen in stock before, specifically this gray lace fabric that you'll get to meet in the third episode, but the iPad here proved super handy because I could accurately recreate that look without having to draw every single detail of the lace fabric. I started out feeling like I needed to be very tactical with my plans because I was kind of trying to come up with like a finished product of design so that I could translate it directly into fabric. But as I struggled with really feeling that aha moment, I began to understand why so many professional high fashion sketches are anything but realistic. They communicate a feeling that is far clearer than any technical pattern could be, because making clothes, or really any other art for that matter, isn't about being good at drawing. It's simply about being able to communicate what you want to express through a real life object. Maybe this is a cartoon sketch that communicates how you feel when you're wearing the clothes. Maybe it's a swatch of fabric that speaks for itself. And if you just manage to capture that core feeling, you're going much further than you think. I plan to make all my designs, then bring you guys along to the fabric store, but I quickly found it very difficult to do any designing without taking into account the fabric. I began poring over pictures and videos I'd taken last time at the fabric store just for inspiration. But the pressure of actually needing to commit to a design hit me hard. Drawing is easy. Even coming up with ideas is easy. I have plenty of ideas, but deciding almost impossible, especially given the time and financial commitment that I was putting in. I finally came up with a design that felt like it could be solid, but I knew I wasn't 100% sold on it. It wasn't until I redrew the same outfit a third time with almost no regard for proportion or realism that it finally clicked for me, and I felt a true blaze of accomplishment. After what I estimated would be an afternoon of refining past ideas, I finally finished 5 complete outfit designs 3 full days later. Okay, so I fully thought I was going to be able to finish all of those designs by the end of the day, but it is now 3 days later. That's in addition to all of the brainstorming that I've been doing for like just months here and there of what kind of designs I want to make. So it's definitely not a quick process by any means, and don't be discouraged if it kind of takes a while. I also did go to the fabric store just to take a look at stuff, and that really impacted how I designed the clothes because you only have a limited amount of fabric. I didn't want to go to any other stores. I didn't want to order anything online because I just wanted to limit myself to what that specific store near me had. So there was a lot of going back and forth, spending a lot of time in the store, feeling different fabrics because they need to be the right thickness for the applications. Like if you're making pants, you want to make sure that they're not too thin, and you also want to make sure they're stretchy enough or firm enough for whatever you're trying to do. And also it's whatever specific colors you want. It definitely was a little bit difficult. I kind of came up with some designs, then I went to the store and I felt around, took a bunch of pictures and videos, especially like stretching out the fabric, and then take that back, revise what I had, and kind of go back and forth combining the two. This is what I came up with. The first design is going to be kind of like a little bit of a funky going out outfit. I actually wanted to make this because I saw fabric at the store a really long time ago and I loved it so much. It's like this really stretchy, perfectly gray, lacy fabric. And I was also really inspired by this Vivienne Westwood outfit that I saw. And I was like, if I was gonna wear any outfit, all the time, it would be this outfit. So I wanted to do something that was like tights and the socks and the shoes and the dress all is one kind of cohesive thing, but it has this texture which makes it really interesting. So I'm gonna be trying to do tights here. Then we're gonna do like a long sleeved maybe turtleneck, and we're gonna have like a plain stretchy gray fabric underneath that, so that's not gonna be see-through, but the legs are obviously gonna be a little bit translucent, which I think is gonna give it a little bit more interest. I've just been wanting to use this fabric since forever. So next up we have the hot shorts, or like the mini shorts, micro shorts outfit. This one was actually a little bit trickier than I thought, because when I came up with this idea, I had a very specific vision in mind. I kind of was glued to this color, and when I went to the store, it was hard to find a fabric that would be suitable, because I wanted something really, really stretchy so that it was forgiving around that area, but also thick so it could work as shorts. I found this fabric that seems really sturdy and durable, and is also in a color that I like, because I'm very picky about my colors, but I think I need to double it up. So I'm going to see if that is going to be thick enough if I do double the fabric. For this one, I'm also just gonna start with the shorts, and then I'm gonna see how much fabric I have left over for the shirt, since I don't need that to be double lined, and if I need any more, I'd rather just go to the store on a second trip and get more. The third outfit I have is gonna be this like dress from fabric that I do already have because I bought it at the store, but we'll see if we have to go and get more. I really want to do some sort of like mini dress, or not mini dress, I don't know. I just know I want the bust to be super tailored. So I think this is a good fabric because it's a little bit thick. Really just like play around with the bodice on the actual mannequin. And I want to do like an almost bubble skirt type thing, maybe like a matching choker. I don't know, we'll see. 4 is going to be my movie theater outfit. So that's like just sweatpants, sweatshirt. This was actually more difficult than I thought, because when I went to the fabric store, there were no really like sweatshirt materials that I thought were gonna be thick enough, and I didn't want to do like a thin sweatshirt because I just know I wouldn't wear that for that purpose. So I'm going to go tomorrow when I go to the store, I'm gonna ask them, do they suggest doing like a lining that's maybe a little bit softer. I did find a few options for fabric that could work. This was definitely the hardest one to source. And then to make it more fun, I just have these like rainbow star sparkly things. I want all of the colors to be shiny or velvety or glittery. Like I want them to really sparkle. And hopefully we can find some of these like little colorful pieces in the scrap bin over there, so that we can save a little bit more money. And now the last one is going to be this outfit. So I really struggled with this one. I really wanted to make a shirt that says, thanks, I made it myself. And I wanted it to kind of be a very casual, like sweatshirt type thing. But every time I made it, it was just not really working. I couldn't figure out if I wanted it to be long or if I wanted it to be short, because I think shorter tops look better on me, but there would not be enough room to write everything that I wanted to say. I found this really, really pretty sparkly fabric. It's a little bit thin, so it's not quite as warm as I was hoping it might be, but I think that actually works out because it'll be a good in-between outfit. And when the fabric is a little bit thinner, it drapes easier, so it kind of works better if you have like a larger bust or a curvy body and you're not really cinching in your waist. This is gonna really drape nicely, and I think it'll look very cool. For the pants, I did not know what to do here because I always default to like these long, big, flowy pajama type pants. The problem is it's been raining nonstop for like 2 weeks, and I realized that all of my pants drag on the ground. So I was thinking to do like legging type material, but I felt that was like a little bit too plain with the top. So I really wanted to see if I can try to find some fabric that's maybe the same color, but like a different material, so that it looks a little bit interesting, but it still clearly matches together. The next step is gonna be going to the fabric store and getting all of that stuff that we need. The other thing that I wanna do before we start sewing is actually make a DIY mannequin that's like perfectly tailored to me. So we're gonna do a little bit of DIY crafting to create our own dress form. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time to do that tonight, so either we'll get that done today or we'll do that tomorrow after we go to the fabric store. I've decided that I do actually wanna do that today. Here's the fit. We're going to the corner store to get masking tape. All right. The first step is going to be doing saran wrap over, and then we have masking tape that's going to go around it to like make it secure. And then I'll cut myself out of it, piece together any issues, and then stuff it with something, maybe like a pillow or scraps, so that you can deflate it for easy storage. I want to do like basically what's I'm wearing like from here, and then I want to do a little bit of the arms just so I can get this area. I also have my bra out because like if I put it over, then I get this gap here, and I want to just like make sure I'm completely molded all the way over. I honestly don't know if I want to do all of this in one piece or if I want to do like a bottom and a top. I'll probably just do the whole entire thing. I also was like, I don't know how snatched and how tight to make it, but I just had dinner, so I feel like this is a pretty good stage to capture myself in. And then I can like make it a little bit snatched, but it won't be too totally tight so that all my clothes won't fit. But hopefully if I kind of make it the shape that I want it to be, then if I cut my clothes and sew them to that shape, but then when I put them on, they'll like compress me, you know? For some reason, I was convinced this was the easiest, most genius hack ever, and whatever original video I saw of it months back seemed completely effortless. In an event that could not have been predicted by anybody, the saran wrap obviously was not interested in coming out properly or sticking to my body or sticking to itself. I think you can actually see the fear and discouragement in my eyes when I remembered it only clings to itself and is fundamentally a rectangle, which I am not. So my next strategy was to take the roll and attempt to cover every single inch of my body, which was sort of succeeding, except one issue that I learned too late. See, when using something right off the roll, you need to pull on it to dispense it. So every time you are wrapping it around something, you are also simultaneously pulling it and that thing, which results in the thing being tightly wrapped even when you are not trying to wrap it tight. At this point, I was feeling the tightness and had covered the same 4 spots in about 12 layers of saran wrap while the rest was completely bare. I was getting very tired of the cling wrap and needed a bit of a mental pick-me-up, so I reached for one of my favorite things, masking tape. This too attempted to extinguish my spirits, but my hunger for masking tape prevailed. As it turns out, because tape is in fact sticky, our problem of rolling and dispensing is actually much, much worse. And because you aren't trying to pull it tight, you don't realize it until about 10 minutes later when you have difficulty both moving and breathing. So I decided to focus on the bust first, which involved some quick surgery and a lot more tape. It turns out you can't really mold it to your body, you have to instead sculpt it using your body as a reference. Obviously, I also got tired of that very quickly and decided to continue both masking tape and saran wrapping my body until it ended up being simply too tight to continue. So I cut myself out, then put it back on and taped up the gaps. At this point, I was wondering why it didn't occur to me that this was definitely a 2-person project, so I enlisted Josh to help wrap me up, which he gladly did. Honestly, he did a fantastic job, and this was a much needed rest, even if my body was still feeling the effects of being taped up. After expertly filling many of the gaps, the top seemed solid enough for me to cut myself out of for the time being while still staying together. Another thing I learned, masking tape is easy to cut through. 10 layers of saran wrap is not. I switched gears to the bottom half to see if it would be any easier given the mobility was a bit better, and I was very, very pleased that it seemed to go smoothly. This time I was much more careful to rip off pieces of tape and place them deliberately instead of wrapping to eliminate any squashing of the buttocks. I am so tired. I ran out completely of masking tape, so I was gonna call it a day, and then I remembered that I can just go down the street, like walk 5 minutes to get more masking tape, just like I already did today. And it's only 8:30, but the thing about this is like it's very physical and it's on your body. Not only is it difficult and tiring, but it's also incredibly overstimulating. It's really not comfortable. I don't know why I thought it would be fine because it's just a mold of my own body, but like no, it honestly sucks having it on your body. I have this done almost. I need to like, you know, strengthen it up, fix the edges, do that. And then this one I'm honestly really avoiding because it's just so thick. I don't know, this is definitely not the right shape. This is like the opposite of what I wanted. I didn't want like a giant round boob shape. I wanted like a nice dainty, pointy boob shape. So I don't know if like I should do that. And then I'm also realizing that if this is so much work, like I thought that I would be able to get this bust done in the same day as like so many other things. Like I don't know if I can even finish it today. If this is taking so much time, I'm honestly concerned about how I'm going to be making the rest of my clothes, because they kind of need to be done fast, because I'm doing this for a video and I want this to be like content that I can kind of churn out in like a realistic process sort of way. But I don't know, like, is it gonna take me 2 whole weeks to sew all these clothes? And is that even worth it? It is worth it, because I decided I wanted to do this. I've always thought about making this video. There's a reason that I wanted to, there's a reason that I'm doing it. And if I don't, someone else will. The masking tape, it's literally a 3-minute walk. Like it couldn't be, oh, but it's so dark out. But it's only 8:30, but I woke up at 6:30 today and it feels like it's time for me to go to bed. But I mean, just saying it out loud, like I think I know what I need to do. Back again. The guys that work in there are so sweet. They all like know us, and today he was like, oh, why only you? Why only you? And I was like, oh, I don't know, like Josh he's busy, he's working. I was like, we'll come back next time, like both of us will be next time. And he was like, I never want to hear you break up. I never want to hear that you break up. And I was like, don't worry, you won't hear that. Also, the moon is straight crazy style. Back with 2 rolls of tape, a wine glass full of water filtered by Brita, and I feel invigorated. That was a really nice exchange that I had at the store, and I feel like I was kind of getting to a slump creatively and physically and mentally, and that was just a nice little pick-me-up. I think I'm going to take it easy, take it chill. I had a little bit too much chocolate, so I'm feeling fine, and this is your sign to not eat the extra piece of chocolate that you're like, just don't. It's not worth it. I think I'm going to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone today. Finish off the edges of the pants because I'm really happy with how they came out. I think they're a good fit. They're maybe a little bit tight, but the fact that I was able to take them off on one of the legs without cutting it, I think is really huge. I'm gonna also kind of take it easy, put something on in the background, get stuff done, while also winding down for the night because it is that time. I mean, it's 9:02, but like I said, our days have been a bit shifted towards the earlier side as of late. Yeah, okay. Let's see how this goes. This did end up actually being an easy and relaxing way to end the night, and I was especially glad that I pushed through because although the other part had been a bust, I went to sleep with an actual completed thing, which was a much needed win after a tough day. Besides, I figured this was the more important half given the difficult nature of shorts, though I admit my use for them ended up being a bit unconventional, but you'll have to stay tuned for that. In the next episode, I'm going to show you my trip to the fabric store, my attempt at my first outfit, the unexpected changes I made, and pretty much just everything that went wrong. Thanks for coming along with me. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode or any of the other ones because we have a long, long way to go. And if you think we ran into some roadblocks in this episode, just you wait.